Josh. First game in Munich, Germany, 9:30. The Seattle Seahawks against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. German football fans will get to watch the Geno Smith show and some guy named Tom Brady. I'm going to take Seattle to win this game, though. I think their offense has been sparked with a lot of big plays. I think Tampa's defense will be able to take out one of their receivers, but not both. And the Tampa offensive line against that pass rush for Seattle, which has been very good. How about Uchenna Nwosu has had back-to-back sacks in 2 straight games. I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one. I think it'll be close, but I'm going to take them 23-20.
This game, I go back and forth because on paper, like the Bucs should just be so much better than the Seahawks. But the Seahawks, as I say every week, they're just like the good vibes team. And the Bucs are the very bad vibes team. Even last week's win, people are saying, oh, Brady's back with that final drive. I mean, that was just really atrocious defense from the Rams, playing prevent, not even protecting the sideline at all with 0 timeouts left. So I'm not necessarily saying the Bucs are back in this one. I'm with you, Speedy. I'm just going to take the Seahawks here. I'm going to ride the good vibes and wait till they burn me because they've got me a couple wins the last few weeks.
No, I have Seattle in this game, too. I think Kenneth Walker is becoming a star right in front of our eyes. I don't know, even though Tampa has been very good at stopping the run, so was Arizona going into the week last week, and I don't know what happened. Kenneth Walker just ran all over him. 3 touchdowns in the game, dominated the line of scrimmage. There's nobody going to stop this kid right now. This guy's been the best running back in football for the last 4 weeks. And Geno Smith right now is an MVP candidate. He's top 5 quarterback right now in the NFL. Yes, Geno Smith. And this defense, which is really, if you play fantasy football, this defense has been one of the best fantasy teams in the NFL. 97 points for this team when it comes to fantasy. That's unheard of going into week 10. So I absolutely believe Seattle will win this game. I don't know what's going on with Tom Brady. He has no offensive line. They don't protect him. He has the fastest release right now in the NFL. He holds the ball for 2 seconds, and they still can't win. I don't know what's going on. Give me Seattle in this game. I have them 21-14.
All right, next game, the Jaguars at the Chiefs. Well, the Chiefs got tested a little last week, but I don't think they're going to do so this week. They're going to come out on fire in this one. Jacksonville's secondary, outside of Tyson Campbell, really hasn't been great, so I think the Chiefs and Mahomes, who had 400-plus yards last week, will be able to spread the ball around. Jacksonville can stop the run, but the Chiefs don't really run the ball, so it's not going to really make a difference. And the Chiefs can stop the run, too, so I don't know if ETN has the same big game as previous week. So I'll go 34-17 KC.
I think Jacksonville's going to keep it close. I'm not going to pick them, but they won their first game last week that was decided by 7 points or less. In previous games, they were 0-5 in one-score games. So I just think like the luck's going to regress for them. I do think they're a good football team. They're just young. They're figuring it out. I still think Lawrence can use another weapon or two, and Calvin Ridley will help, just not till next year. I think they're going to keep it close in this one, but Kansas City comes out on top. I'm going to go KC 30-27.
Oh, I think this is going to be a romp game, and I was wrong about the Carolina-Atlanta game. I thought Atlanta's covering tonight, and I think Atlanta was going to win. I was wrong. So I'm already 0-1, okay? But I really have, being that it's in Kansas City, I cannot see Jacksonville going into Kansas City and surprising anybody. I think Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes had one of his better games when it comes to yards per throw last week. I think he had 446 yards or something of that magnitude. He was fantastic. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but nevertheless, I think Kansas City is the better team. And Trevor Lawrence has not looked good this year. He really hasn't. For a guy that everybody thought he was like a traditional like game-changing quarterback when he came into the league, 2 years ago? He's just not the same player that we saw playing for Clemson. Give me Kansas City in this game, 41-14.
Uh-huh. All right, the Houston Texans at the New York Giants. This is going to be close. Both these running backs, I think, play well in this game. The Texans have one of the worst run defenses in the league, and the Giants' run defense has not been great the last couple of weeks either. I think the Giants will win, but I do think it will be close just because of that. They're still dealing with a lot of offensive line issues. I think they start slow because of the bye week rust as well. I think the Texans take advantage of it. They're a bit of a pesky first half team. I think the Giants come back and win late. I'm going to say the Giants. I'm going to take Houston to cover, though. Giants 2016.
I'm with you, Speedy. I think I'm tempted to pick Houston here, but just everything's going wrong for them besides Damian Pierce. And the Brandon Cook stuff doesn't help. He's been practicing this week. He's supposed to play, and he helps if he's back in the lineup, but obviously he's disgruntled. Davis Mills solid against the blitz, and the Giants like to blitz more than just about any team, but he's just a placeholder for whoever they're going to pick next year in the top 2 or 3 in the draft next year. I just think this is a year where they try to get through it. They try to be competitive, but the Giants have just been so good in the fourth quarter. Like Speedy said, even if they're trailing this entire game, I just trust Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones to pull it out in a really ugly game. So I'm going to go with the Giants here, 19-16.
Again, am looking at this game. I know it's in New York, but something tells me the Texans are going to surprise everybody and beat the Giants. The Giants had their bye week. Daniel Jones, obviously his first bye week with Daboll. Is Daboll going to actually pull off a win off a bye week? That's something that we haven't seen Daboll as a head coach. But again, being that the Giants are home and they're getting healthier right now, their defense will be a little bit more healthy going into this game. They did lose their starting safety for 4 weeks, which is a huge loss that could affect them. So I'm going to take the Giants in this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans win the game. Give me the Giants 21-20. All
right, the Saints at the Steelers. This one will be close. I'm going to take the Saints. I think they redeemed themselves a little bit from that debacle last week. I think Alvin Kamara is a good matchup against the Steelers team that likes to blitz. I think you'll see him a lot receiving in this game. And then defensively, they got a very good, especially interior front against a Steelers offensive line that still hasn't been very good. And Kenny Pickett, I think, has a couple interceptions too. So I'll take the Saints. I'm going to say 23-17.
Oh, I'm going the other way. Tomlin always does his best work as an underdog. They're coming off the bye. I'm going to trust Mike Tomlin in this one. TJ Watt is back in this one. The Saints O-line, I put some trust in them last week. I thought it was going to be a competitive game last Monday night, and it was just an absolute stinker. I mean, on both sides of the football, they made Kenyon Drake look like prime Barry Sanders. It was just a tough scene, and I think Jalen Warren, the undrafted free agent out of NC State, I believe, he's going to get more run this week, and he's been a lot more efficient on the ground than Najee Harris, who clearly there's something wrong with that fasciitis injury. So I kind of expect a little bit more juice out of this Pittsburgh offense. No Chase Claypool. That means more George Pickens. That's good. George Pickens is really, really good. So give me the Steelers in this one, 21-17.
I have Pittsburgh in this game too. TJ Watt is a big, I guess, I don't know. Everything we've seen with their defense, this defense has not been the same since he was injured in game number 1 this year, game number 2. I think the fact that TJ Watt is back is going to change everything defensively, especially up front, which they've been one of the worst teams up front this year in the NFL. I think adding TJ Watt, this guy was the defensive player of the year last year over Micah Parsons. I think Pittsburgh is going to win this game. It's a home game. It's supposed to rain all weekend long in Pittsburgh, which benefits the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this will be a kicking game, and if it becomes a kicking game, I like Boswell in Pittsburgh. Give me Pittsburgh in this game, 19-16.
All right, the Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. This one I think is going to be a blowout. I'm going to take Chicago pretty big. Justin Fields last week rushed for 178 yards, which is the most of any quarterback in a single game. And the Lions have had a lot of trouble with the outside run, especially. I think you also see Khalil Herbert have a big game in this one. Not as much David Montgomery. I think Herbert's more of that outside runner that'll be able to do it. And I do think that defense has gotten better even with the losses that they had. And I think Detroit's offense, since the Patriots game, has really gotten exposed. So I think you're going to see the Bears definitely take advantage of that. So I'm going to take the Bears in a blowout here. I'm going to say 38-24.
I put a lot of trust in the Lions last week to get that upset over Green Bay, and they did it. I'm not going to trust them 2 weeks in a row to do it. And I don't love Chicago as a field goal favorite. I don't really think they should be a field goal favorite over too many teams, but I'm not buying Detroit yet. I'm not buying that defense yet. I think just about anybody could shut down that Green Bay offense right now. What Justin Fields has looked like the last 3 weeks is special. I mean, I think he needs to clean up some stuff in the passing game, but the weapons aren't good. The O-line isn't good, and he's making plays happen every single week. That rushing ability, I put it right up there with Lamar. He is that electric. It just takes 1 or 2 carries to completely change the dynamic of the game. The Lions do not have that same magic on offense that they did the first month of the year. DeAndre Swift is not really in the rotation. Amon-Ra St. Brown is clearly hampered and a little bit injured right now. That O-line is down 2 guys. It's just not the same unit right now. So I'm going to back Chicago in this one, 24-20.
Oh, I love Chicago in this game, and you were right. Justin Fields is becoming a star in this league. I think he's a better player than Lamar Jackson, being that he's 230 pounds and he can run as fast as Lamar Jackson. This guy is going to be unstoppable. If he can stay healthy and run the ball like this, you don't need wide receivers. You don't need Claypool. You don't need these guys. If you have a good offensive line and a good quarterback that can move the sticks, you can win. I believe he'll be able to run against this defense. I think he has another 100-yard running game. I think he scores 1 or 2 touchdowns. I think Chicago's just a better team. I don't know what's going on with the Lions. Campbell will be fired at the end of the season. The defensive coordinator, ex-New York Jet, and everybody knows who I'm talking about. Aaron Glenn will be fired. This whole team will be starting from scratch again. I think they have some weapons. I think they have some pieces that to look forward to in the future. And obviously, Jared Goff will not be there after next year. I think they'll be drafting in the top 10, and they'll draft their future quarterback. Give me Chicago in this game, and this is why they moved up, and they traded with the Giants. They had Justin Fields. Chicago wins 30-15.
Remember, John Jensen's their next head coach.
That's right.
All right.
Boy, Johnny.
That's right. Minnesota Vikings at the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to take the Bills here, even though Josh Allen, it might not be 100% playing in this game. I think the Vikings are too hot right now. I think they're due for a loss. They had a rusty game against Washington.
They're overrated.
I don't know if they're overrated. I just think they just had one of their worst fundamentally sound games, and I think that's something that they cannot do against a Buffalo Bills team that
overrated
is going to redeem themselves nicely. They lost to the Jets last week. They looked sloppy in the fourth quarter of that game.
I can't wait until Minnesota plays the Jets.
I can't see them doing that 2 weeks in a row. I think Josh Allen will have the game plan simplified for him a little bit, but I do think those receivers will be able to win some mismatches against the Vikings corners that still have not been great this year. And that offensive line, I can't see them playing that bad 2 weeks in a row. So I'm going to take the Bills in this one, 31-20.
I'm also going with the Bills, but sorry, Speedy, what were you going to say?
No, I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm also going to go with the Bills here. The line movement here kind of – it feels like Allen's not going to play. I mean, the look-ahead line was 9 points. The Bills were laying 9 points. Now it's all the way down to 3.5 points. If and when Case Keenum's named the starter, maybe it's going to be under a field goal. I'm still going to back the Bills here. They just have talent everywhere. I still think Keenum can be a little bit of a point guard. He can distribute to all the weapons that they have. And I'm not buying Minnesota. I'm with Errol here. I mean, you look at their schedule, and they snuck by the Commanders last week. They snuck by the Cardinals. They beat the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson. They snuck by Chicago when they were losing the majority of that game. They sneak by Andy Dalton in London. I mean, it's Detroit, come from behind victory. I mean, at some point, I think it will catch up to them. Good for them that they're 7-1. Good for Kevin O'Connell. I think it's like a reversal of what we saw with Mike Zimmer and a lot of fourth quarter collapses in his coaching tenure, but I'm not buying the hype. Kirk Cousins does not look nearly as efficient as he has in years past. I think this Bills defense can suffocate him and make life difficult for him in Buffalo. So I'm going to go with Buffalo in this one with Case Keenum. I'm expecting Case Keenum 23-17.
Everything I've heard is Josh Allen will be starting in this game. Now, it's questionable, and I'm sure it'll be game time decision if Josh plays. He hasn't been practicing, but that's to protect that UCL nerve that he has right now. But I believe Buffalo will win this game. I do not believe in Minnesota. I think Minnesota is very overrated. Their team really rests on Jefferson's hands and what he does on the field. And we saw what the Eagles did against them. Their only loss was against the Eagles. And what did the Eagles do? They stopped Jefferson. If you stop Jefferson, you win this game. I believe Buffalo has the weapons. I think White might be back this week. I've heard that he could be back. He's been practicing on the field. So if he comes back, watch out. I believe Jadarius White could stop, obviously, Jefferson on the field. I know he hasn't been on the field for about a year, but I believe this could be the game that he comes back. It's in Buffalo. It's going to be cold. It's going to be wet. It's going to be raining all week here in New York, including upstate. So I'm going to give it all to Buffalo with Josh Allen. I don't think it will be Case Keenum. Give me Buffalo in this game, 32-18.